Texans preseason concludes. We get the announcement we've been waiting for, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not two.
Welcome to the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey. It's been a long day, been a long preseason. As you can see in the background, this is going to be hung very soon. This is the Watt jersey that JJ sent me before he left town. I'll show you it a little bit real quick. It says, Landry, thanks for the laughs and support. JJ Watt, a loyal loophole, has the picture of JJ. So we'll get that up pretty soon. I just got it today, so it's not up yet. Appreciate you for coming through. This is the number one place to get the pulse of the Texans. Number one in the radio game, number one in the digital game. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, right along. Be sure to comment. It is the post-game show. Normally it's immediately after, but because I've been traveling today, it's a special time, and I appreciate everyone for being here. Looks like we're already like 150 deep, and it's freaking late. You guys are some night owls, but I appreciate you for coming through. And we got a lot to get into for a preseason game, no doubt. So the big news, and we won't even sugarcoat it. CJ Stroud, they kind of told us already that he was going to be the starter, but they kind of confirmed what they'd already told us through their actions. The actions were he'd be taking the first team reps for damn near 3 weeks. But now DeMeco Ryans has backed up those actions with words. Here was DeMeco Ryans making the announcement right after the game.
Yes, CJ will be our week one starter in Baltimore.
What is it that's translated to that decision?
It's been over the course of the entire process of OTAs, training camp, preseason games, just seeing the complete product and knowing, CJ's desire to continue to get better. We know we're not where we need to be as a team overall. We all have to continue to get better, and it's just having the mindset to do that. And CJ, just along with all our other guys, know that we have to get better in that regard.
You saw what he did tonight. What did you think about the way he ran the offense?
I thought he did a really good job tonight. Continued to progress. Had a good week last week versus Miami, and to come back out this week. Thought the ball placement again was very nice. And he can't do that without the offensive line up front. I thought the offensive line, they deserve the credit, right? He had the time, right, to make those throws. So credit to the offensive line. They did a really good job of protecting him. That's what we want up front. And it all starts there. So happy with what those guys did tonight.
Let's talk about the actual performance, and I appreciate everyone coming through. It is a locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. CJ Stroud, 2 of 4 today. Even the 2 incompletions, there was stuff to kind of take away from it. I saw someone brought up the pass to Collins, kind of called it a drop. I didn't consider that a drop. I considered that a really good play by the DB. It was a damn good throw by CJ, but that's a tough crowd. That's tough. That's tough to call that a drop. Would you like him to come up with it? Yeah, but I thought that was a good play by the DB for sure. I thought it was a really, really good play by the DB. The other incompletion, the one to Woods on the sidelines, That looked like one, and I think Greg Olson actually brought it up. That looked like one where he probably could have taken off. That was one of the big criticisms from CJ or of CJ when he was at Ohio State. Was a lot of times like it almost looked like, and it kind of felt like we'll get to Kenyon Green. I can promise you that. we, we'll get to Kenyon Green because there's a conversation that needs to be had about last year's number 15 overall pick. So yeah, if you're coming here to hear about Kenyon Green, you've come to the right place. I guarantee you, we'll get to that. But yeah, maybe CJ could have used his legs there. Maybe he would in a regular season game. But he's a guy who looks to throw. But I thought that there was that. The pass to Schultz was perfect. That's going to be a guy that's going to probably be the best resource for CJ Stroud. And then the touchdown pass to Collins was nice as well. So we only got to see 4 passes from CJ Stroud. Finally got to see the TD drive that people seem to have, a reasonable desire for. And really, he did what you would want a rookie quarterback to do. He got better each time he went out there in a game situation, which maybe it's going to have to be a little bit cleaner, but from week 1 to week 2 to week 3, he got better. And that's really kind of all you can ask for from CJ Stroud, for sure. So yeah, it was cool. CJ's performance, and he's the starter. So there is that. Those are 2 of the biggest takeaways. Other stuff, let's do the good stuff first. Mike Boone is running back 3. I would say that he is safe on this roster. I don't know what they're going to do about the 4th running back spot. Do they feel that they need that? Is it overly important? I don't know, but Mike Boone, I think he kind of solidified himself as someone who is going to be on this roster. So I think we know that. We at least have a pretty good idea of what the running back room is going to look like. Let's talk about Kenyon Green. I don't know the right way to approach this from a Texan standpoint. Now, last year, Kenyon Green, to say that he struggled as a rookie is being very nice, and that's putting it very nicely. And that type of stuff happens. Hell, there's times where second-year players struggle as well. But Kenyon Green, at this point, with where they're at, and I know that they gave him it almost feels like they gave him every opportunity in the world to be the unquestioned starting guard. He was taking the majority of the reps. There didn't appear to be very many threats to Kenyon Green, but at the last second in the final preseason game, a guy in Dieter who didn't even play an offensive snap last year, I don't believe. He starts, and not only does he start, he was better than Kenyon Green was, who went out when he went out there with the second team. I asked the question. I got some text messages from some people that think that Kenyon Green should be cut, even though he's in his second year and he's the number 15 overall pick. My thing with it is this, and I don't know how you handle this situation, but we're talking about a guy who didn't play an offensive snap last year, going out there and looking better than you. And we're also talking about a guy in Kenyon Green. And I know that Kenyon Green's from the city. I know that Kenyon Green is a good kid. I know Kenyon Green is accountable. But at this point, I can't even point to why he stinks. And he stinks. Like, I don't like, there's no other way to say it. Like, he stinks. He sucks. Like, he's not good right now. And sometimes guys stink early on and they end up being good, but there's no like articulate way to put it. Like, I could tiptoe around. I think Kenyon Green would tell you that so far in his career, he has stunk. Like, when you're the 15th overall pick and you're drafted at that position, ideally you want to be plug and play. Now, you're going to struggle as a rookie at times, but what can we even say is wrong with Kenyon Green? Because sometimes you can like point to one thing and you can say, well, he doesn't do this. He gets physically dominated. He seems to be out of shape. Again, I'm not like an expert on this. He seems to be out of shape. People who cover this squad pretty closely. A lot of people think that he's out of shape. He doesn't seem to be confident. I legitimately feel sorry for him when he's out there because he appears to kind of lack confidence. And quite frankly, I can't blame him. What are you accomplishing by leaving Kenyon Green on this roster? Is he going to figure it out? Could he figure it out? Maybe. But it just seems like first of all, the caliber of player that we're talking about that looks superior is a guy that you can find anywhere. Like when we've talked about the 53-man roster, and by the way, I just got an email. Nick Caserio is going to speak on Wednesday about the 53-man roster. The time is to be determined. D'Amico Ryan is going to speak tomorrow at 1:30. So you can hear that on In the Loop on Sports Radio 610. But like when I've talked about the back end of the roster, and like we're talking about, tight end 3, or we're talking about, tackle 4 before they made the trade. My notion was always, well, any GM worth his salt can, with where the Texans are in the waiver order, which is number 2 overall, you can find a player of the caliber of Mason Schreck, or you can find a player of the caliber of, the cornerback on the back end of that depth chart, or the tackle on the back end of that depth chart. I'm just using that as an example. Can't you say that about Kenyon Green at this point? Like, if they don't have the confidence to put him out there in the final preseason game, and when they put him out there with the second team, he gets on the highlight reel. I mean, D'Amico Ryans didn't draft him. Bobby Slowick didn't draft him. Maybe a change of scenery would help Kenyon Green. Now, I know that sucks, and we can sit here and we can say, man, they drafted him in the first round last year. Nick, they wasted a first-round pick. Sometimes it be like that. 49ers just admitted they wasted basically 3 first-round picks on Trey Lance. 4, whatever the hell they traded. They just admitted it. They charged it to the game and they said bye. And Trey Lance, you can even say there were a lot of like tough things that went against him. He broke his finger. He got hurt. They started winning with other guys. So you can actually make that case. I don't know that you can say that with Kenyon Green. Has trouble staying healthy, strength, shape, all that. So if you keep him around, like, what are you doing it for? Are you just postponing the inevitable? That's the question I have. Like, are you just would you rather them just say, okay, we screwed this one up, bye, we're going to move on? Or do you want them to sit around and hope that he gets better? And maybe he does. But let me just make this clear, and I said this earlier in the offseason when it comes to Kenyon Green. There might be a scenario in life where Kenyon Green plays his way into being a serviceable guard and where he plays into being a serviceable offensive lineman, but he will never validate them taking him where they did in the draft. That's never going to happen. I don't like to speak in absolutes. I don't like to be too dismissive. I don't always live up to that desire, and sometimes I am, but there is a 0% chance that taking a guard at 15 makes sense a lot of the time. But in this situation, they will never, ever, ever, ever. Like if we're living in a world where we want to, at some point in the future have validation for taking him at 15, it's not going to happen. Maybe there can be like some sort of serviceability with him, but it's not going to happen. And again, I like the kid, but I think he would even be able to say he has stunk so far. And it's been rough. It's hard to watch. I legitimately feel sorry for Kenyon Green when I watch him play football. A lot of the time. It wasn't like that at A&M. A&M, he was kicking everyone's ass. I know a lot of y'all watch A&M games. But when I've watched Kenyon Green in the NFL, whether it's being outmanned, whether it's looking like he's out of shape, whether it's looking like he's not strong enough, whether it's looking like he's sad and not confident, I legitimately feel sorry for Kenyon Green watching him out there. Legitimately. Now, we got the effort being questioned. I don't know about effort. Now, do I think he's trying hard? Yeah, I think he's trying. Now, the effort might come up short. He might not be capable of putting out like the kind of effort that you want from like a good guard at this point. But I think he's trying. This is I keep hearing the S word. I hate to say it, bro. He stinks. I just think he's soft and not focused. A lot of people saying that. Prime time. 8-0 seam. He is out of shape. Robert says he's in better shape than he was last year, seemingly, but I legit don't know why he has zero power. Saints 2s and 3s were working on him. Yeah, he's in better shape than he was last year, but he was admittedly out of shape. And the other thing is this, like last year, I don't want to say we keep making excuses for him, but last year he was out of shape at the start of camp. He's like, well, he was dealing with an injury. So, he's out of shape. This year, that wasn't the case. Do I think that stretch last year broke him? I guess you're talking about going, and I appreciate the super chat. Like going against Simmons and Payne and stuff. I would hope not. I would. And if that did, that's unfortunate because I don't know how you get over that. I think it's tough. It's tough. He's rough. And I thought, and I think most people thought that was just a for sure. Appreciate you, Amir. I thought that was just going to be a for sure 100,000% plug and play type of pick. I thought it was a safe pick. Didn't y'all? Like when they drafted Kenyon Green, I know Jordan Davis was a name that was being brought up. We were talking about Kyle Hamilton. We were talking about Jamison Williams. But I thought that was like the safe pick. I thought that was the safest pick. And it's been rough. So do you charge it to the game and say goodbye? Would it be the worst thing? Are you just postponing the inevitable? It's a question. And yes, it is 100%. Like it is hindsight. Like I admit, like, and I'm being very transparent saying I thought it was a safe pick. But at this point, we've seen what we've seen with it. And David brings up a good point. It wasn't Ryan's pick. And that's the other thing. Like Bobby Slowick didn't say, hey, I want Kenyon Green. D'Amico Ryans didn't say, hey, I want Kenyon Green. So, they gave him every opportunity to be the starter all the way up to today. Do they finally just say, "Hey, Nick, we tried. Let's do some work. We like the picks that we got right now. This one just didn't work out." And again, if San Francisco can admit that they got it wrong, trading multiple first-round picks and going up and getting a quarterback, and then in the top 5 of the draft, 2021, we're in 2023. So 2021, 2022, 2023. If they can just admit that, and the Jets can admit it with Zach Wilson 2 years later, although he's still there and he's the backup. I mean, is it really crazy to just give up on a guard who has all these problems? I don't know. Be interesting. Linderbaum too. Yes, Tyler Linderbaum. Yeah, that one hurts too. Needed a center, and that was a big thing. It was a big thing. People were talking about Patterson. Patterson. I was talking to someone and they said, to be honest, I don't think Patterson's good right now, but he's better than Green. That's what my boy was saying. If Jalen Petrie and Kenyon Green had a child, their love child would be Jalen Green's. Yeah, that's a fact. Shout out to Amir again. Yeah, I would strongly consider cutting Kenyon Green. Strongly consider it. CJ Stroud is the starter if you're just coming in. Someone in the comments asked about Watson and Stroud. Can you compare Watson and Stroud at this point? I mean, I think Watson threw 56 passes in his first preseason. So if we're just talking about like in the preseason, like I think he threw 56 passes in his first one. And the fourth game got canceled. It was during Harvey, the Cowboys one. So it got canceled. I think CJ sells fakes better. A little more detail when it comes to selling the fakes. Watson uses his legs better. I'd say CJ's a little bit more accurate. But I like Deshaun. So I think Deshaun, I don't like rewrite history and say he's not a good player, but I would say those would be the differences. Bet not a lot of people even noticed it was Dieter. Yeah. He did his thing. What makes a player that highly graded such a huge miss on Green? So we're already talking about the write-off. I don't know. I mean, it happens. Like, sometimes draft picks don't work out. Like it happens. For a number of reasons. Maybe sometimes it's systematic. Sometimes there's a comfort level. Sometimes it's just such a huge step up from what you're doing in college to when you go to the pros. I don't know. I don't know how that happens. And I mean, I think if the Texans hadn't done it, someone else would do it. Would have drafted him. Maybe not that early. Devin says Tank is going to be special. Yeah, we had the 27-yard punt return by Tank Dell. I think Tank is going to be a problem, a legit problem. It was good seeing him back on the field. How many wide receivers will they keep? Sims deserves a spot, but also tight how many QBs. I have a feeling D'Amico one stands there on the roster. I think that they're going to keep 5 or 6 wideouts. I don't think Sims will be one of them. I could see him coming back in like some sort of role, but yeah, I don't see that. I'm gonna hang the jersey probably tomorrow. I just got it, so I just picked it up today. So, yeah, there's that. Mr. High says Green will be fine. Okay. We will see about that. Hutchinson did look good. Had the would have been nice play on special teams. Um, so there is that. Wide receivers minimum at 6. Hutchinson isn't going to make it back to us if we waive him. Yeah, it's going to be 5, 6. I don't know. I don't know where Mechie fits in right now. I like Mech. Obviously, it's a good story. I just don't know. I don't know how he fits at this point. I think there's a place. I just don't know. I don't know where Mech fits at this moment. Just not quite sure. Getting a lot of Kenyon Green to the XFL. Other takeaways from today. So we already said Kenyon Green, CJ Stroud, the starter. I also wonder if Shaq Griffin is safe. I think Shaq Griffin is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. I don't know how much they like these younger corners, but we kind of brought this up when we saw Steven Nelson, playing pretty well. Shaq played pretty well today, but it's kind of the Christian Kirksey thing where I haven't seen like the entire like cap implications, but you're talking like $4.5 million, whatever. And I don't know how much they like these younger corners, but I think Shaq would be someone to keep an eye on as well, for sure when it comes to the cuts, which got to be made in the next couple of days. And again, Nick Caserio is going to meet with the media on Wednesday, so we'll hear what old Nick has to say. Shaq Griffin, obviously, Shaq Mason's your starting right guard, so he's fine. You would think, yeah, he's straight. Shaq Mason's good. Kenyon Green, maybe not. Will be interesting to hear. If I were him, I would definitely stay off social media. Not the most fun, not the most fun experience for him, to say the very, very least. Will Anderson played for like a real little bit, like a real little bit. Why haven't we seen Tank play with the ones? He hasn't practiced. He's kind of been out. Like in games, I don't know what goes into it in games. I think we saw him like a brief bit in game 1, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. He's going to play. Like he's going to be on the field. So I wouldn't be worried about that, Marcus. Who do you think the captains are this year? I think Tunsil remains a captain. I think that I've been saying that I think Petrie's going to be a captain. And special teams, it'll be like, the weeks type of stuff. But my dark horse for like a captain has been Petrie. It seems like they like Petrie. It seems like Petrie's kind of one of those guys. So I could easily see them making Jalen Petrie a captain. That would be my my thing. Perry looked way better than Longneck Mills. He wasn't afraid to throw. Come on, man. Why are you picking on Davis Mills like that? That's your backup quarterback right there. Got to keep that. Now we're cutting Case Keenum too, man. So y'all are impressed with Perry. All right. Are they trying to trade Mechie? No, I mean, I don't think they could trade him if they wanted to. I think, he's trying to find his way back on the field and see where he fits in. That's really it. I don't think they're trying to do that. Everyone said Case's arm is shot from camp. I mean, it's not as good as CJ's. It's not as good as Mills's, but it's not. It's not like that. I don't think. I mean, it's not shot. He's fine. He's a nice emergency guy. Uh, Case Keenum. I think you can function at a decent level with that. So Baltimore in 2 weeks. Texans going to take on the Ravens. CJ Stroud will be the starter. Baltimore is going to be an interesting situation. I don't know what the dynamic is going to be there, like when it comes to their skill position guys. What is Lamar Jackson going to already have chemistry with his wide receivers? Have they been developing that in camp? Is it going to be something where they're going to have to adjust in the game? Are they going to try to do this thing where they don't run as much with Lamar Jackson? I've heard them say that. What does that look like? You're taking away a guy who possesses one of the best skills and use of his legs in the history of the game. Is that something that is going to be a smart decision for them and something that's going to be sustainable to eliminate that? Or do they just add a whole new element? Do they just hit the ground running and the new offense is, just unstoppable? The one thing that I do think is kind of weird, and I get it to a certain point because I get that, sometimes stuff starts off really nicely and then sometimes it'll just kind of drift away. Like when Chip Kelly was in the NFL with the Eagles and there was all this talk, oh man, he's revolutionizing the game. And I think they won 10 games with Nick Foles. And then all of a sudden Chip Kelly's God's gift and it ends up ending badly in Philly. I do find it weird that the way that the previous offense with the Ravens is talked about, I mean, you would just think that it was just like the most chicken bleep offense ever. And it didn't fit Lamar Jackson, almost like they were like trying to have Lamar Jackson be Peyton Manning or something like that. And I don't think that's fair. Now, maybe they didn't evolve enough and maybe Lamar Jackson outgrew it, but I remember when Greg Roman put that offense together, they were praising him, basically acting like he put like a napkin offense together and it catered around Lamar Jackson's skill set. And now all of a sudden the offense is talked about, like when you hear national media types talk about it, they almost talk about it like it's just like some sort of chicken crap offense that, he never benefited from or anything like that, which I think is interesting. Other thing is there's talk about there's a few things that are being talked about with Lamar Jackson. Number one, that they might not use his legs as much. More throwing, less running was what Lamar said. The other was they're talking about that he's might have more control at the line of scrimmage, which is cool, but is that something that you just immediately from the very beginning don't miss a beat with and you're ready to go? Like if you've played football a certain way for half a decade in the NFL, is that just something where all of a sudden you just step on a field and it's cool, it's good to go? Because we're not talking about like CJ is going to have to learn stuff too. CJ is learning a new system. CJ is going to have to get on the same page with his wide receivers, all that type of stuff. So from their perspective, like CJ is going to have to do some stuff too. But CJ hasn't been in the NFL playing a certain way at a really high level, by the way, I'll also add, for a few years. So Lamar Jackson's going to have to get on the same page with his new receivers. He's going to have to learn a new system. Apparently they're going to try not to run as much with one of the best running quarterbacks of all time. And oh, by the way, he's going to have more responsibility at the line of scrimmage. Okay. I mean, I like Lamar Jackson, so if that all works out, great. I think even if it ends up working out, there's going to be some sort of growing pains or something to figure out early on. That just seems like kind of a lot for me. But I anticipate, and I think most people would anticipate Baltimore is going to be a damn good team. And there's no right time for the Texans to play them, but that's a lot of stuff for sure. And I agree with Christian. Lamar wouldn't be Lamar without Greg Roman. That's my thing. Like I get if Greg Roman didn't evolve and there was a shelf life and stuff. And I think it kind of happened with although it was different. It was Chip Kelly's offense, but I think with Kaepernick too, like when he was running this offense, it kind of, sometimes it gets caught up to, but to just talk about it like it's just like a chicken crap offense that like held him back, I think is a little bit strange. Like really, really strange. I'm very interested in the offensive defensive calls week 1 since it's not going to be so basic. Yeah, we're definitely going to see a lot more creativity when it comes to the offense and a lot more creativity when it comes to the defense. Now, D'Amico was calling the defense today. I think Burke has done it before. How are they going to handle that? Are they going to let D'Amico call? Who knows? We got plenty of time for that, though, because the preseason has concluded. The regular season will be here in less than 2 weeks, and that's when it's going to get real fun. And right here is where to come after the game. Right here in the locker room. Subscribe, like, ride along. Appreciate y'all for riding along this late. Good Lord, you are some late folks on this. Normally we'll go a little bit longer. Today's been a long day. I'll have the Watt jersey up soon. The one that picked up today. But big news, just to reset. CJ Stroud officially named the starter. CJ Stroud leads the TD drive, capped off with the pass to Nico Collins. Mike Boone is RB3. Is Shaq safe? Shaq Griffin, not Mason. And Kenyon Green, man. Much love to you, man, but you kind of stink right now, my friend. No offense. I think you could probably even admit that. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Subscribe, like, ride along. No matter what, we'll get into the 53 tomorrow. Also going to get into the CJ announcement, and we'll do a live stream tomorrow night. We'll do the 9 p.m. stream and keep this going. No matter what, though, when it comes to this Texans stuff, we are all in this together. Be sure to like, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for coming through.
Landlock, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.